Let's go back. Are you choking on your coffee? Instant Pot Coffee Maker. I'm Urvashi and I'm going to walk you through this very cutely titled Instapod coffee maker. This coffee maker is really good if you would like to make a full cup of coffee as well as espresso from the same machine. So it's kind of like if Nespresso and Keurig got married and had a baby, or they don't have to get married, I'm not judging. If Nespresso and Keurig had a baby, this is what this would look like. So I'm going to walk you through how you decide whether this is right for you. We're going to use 4 criteria. How much footprint does it take up? What is the capacity? How easy is it to use? And then lastly, we'll talk about price. So let's start with the footprint. You may be wondering why there's an Instant Pot sitting here. I wanted to show you relative size. I could go into a long nerdy discussion about how NASA discovered that people can't actually tell size in space unless it's comparative. So you have to see an object next to it. So this is what you go to grad school for in psychology and get a degree in experimental psychology and have to go through perceptual psych classes. You know like this when you're doing a video. Anyway, I digress. So basically here are the two. Okay, this is a 6 quart. Basically you see that it's about the same height with the lid, maybe a little bit taller. So if you're trying to put it under a counter, put your 6 quart Instant Pot in there and add a couple of inches, and that's how long this is going to be. And actually it's going to be more than that because the lid needs to come up. Okay, so this is not great for putting under a counter like a lot of coffee machines. Okay, so now that we're done with this comparison, I'm going to move it aside. So to recap, taller than your 6 quart, narrower slightly than the 6 quart, but it needs clearance space that you will need, so considerably taller than your 6 quart. The second thing we're going to talk about is capacity. Now capacity in these coffee machines is 2 things, and they're both a huge pain from an everyday perspective. So capacity, let me move some of this. The first thing that you have to worry about is not dropping the lid inside the coffee maker. The first thing you have to worry about is capacity for this. This is something that if you're making coffee every day, you're going to be replacing water in it all the time. 2 ways to do it. You could put it near a sink and you could just pour water, or I've had these for 8 years. They were maybe $10. I use them every single day to fill the dog bowl with water and to fill the coffee machine with water. You need something that you can just pour water, a pitcher or whatever will do. That is capacity 1. The second thing you have to worry about for capacity is how many pods it will hold, because you will have to clean them out. Now I have been using this. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 pods in here, and I could probably get in 4 or 5 more. These pods have to be emptied. Now keep in mind, this is just holding the smaller Nespresso pods, okay? The Keurig pods are much larger. They do not drop into this. So I feel like it has decent capacity here. Quite good capacity here. It has excellent capacity here. I can't even remember how, this is like 64 ounces or some nonsense. So this is a lot of water. So it makes it a very good machine for people who are making large cups of coffee every day. Okay, so capacity wise, I would say it's pretty good. Okay, ease of use. I have to tell you, Instant Pot sent me this coffee maker. And this is the second time I'm having to do this review because I did not get it right the first time. This is why you need to use my affiliate links and buy from me, because I spent hours doing this and several emails back and forth going, it's not working. Well, here's the trick. These things, which by the way, the manual doesn't tell you very clearly. These things are touch, light touch. You can't be mashing on the thing. So basically, if you're a guy or a lesbian, you would know exactly not to mash that button, but the rest of everybody else is going to struggle. That's the bottom line. Anyway, here's how you would do it. So let's go back. Are you choking on your coffee? It's true. You have to just lightly touch it. Anyway, so you have multiple buttons, all of which light up, but only half of which can be used at any given point. So let me show you how this is going to work. I'm going to use this because I want you to see how the coffee brews in it, okay? When you open this, you have 2 containers. This one is for your espresso pod, this one's for your Keurig. The nice thing is this comes out, so if you get little coffee grains or whatever, it's quite washable and it goes back in quite easily. I'm going to start with an espresso because I like it. Okay, you close it, you turn this on, and I'm going to turn on my timer so we see how long it takes. Okay, here's the trick. Lightly touch it. Maybe not that lightly. See that? When you lightly touch it, this starts to blink. If you press it hard, it's gonna do nothing and you're gonna be so confused and so frustrated as I was. So you wait until it stops blinking. You basically need to do nothing. You walk away, you press this button and you wait. And you can, oh, you know what? let me do 2 ounces. That cup is not going to hold 6. Okay, so 2 ounces, I'm starting over, stop again, start. It's probably not a good test since I jacked that up a little bit. Okay, and then you just kind of wait. Okay, that was not bad. 10 seconds, maybe let's say 15 because I messed it up the first time around, but that's a pretty fast brew, okay? Now, most people, when they're looking at brews, they're interested in what's called the crema in an espresso. The crema is formed when you put water through the machine, and at that point, all the fat and the oils make this foam on top. Does it change taste appreciably? The jury is out. Does it look pretty? It looks gorgeous. The other thing, I would love to have talked to you about functionality. Actually, let me finish this crema thing. So you see this? See this thing on the top? This is the natural crema that occurs with it. It's a pretty decent head of foam. Think of it as a beer, right? Like it's a good head of foam. So it's brewing a good cup of coffee. And let's check the temperature on this coffee. Ideal brewing is 99 Celsius. So how much is that, honey? 99 Celsius is about 210. So it's a little bit colder than that. Too hot and it gets to be really bitter. So it's a little bit colder. So if you're used to drinking your coffee piping hot, you're gonna have to add in some hot water and make an Americano out of it, or you're gonna have to drink it a little bit cooler. One of the things about Instant Pot that I love and don't love is they don't give you a lot of technical specifications. So I would love to know how many bars of pressure this puts in, okay? The bars of pressure are important because after literally a century of working on this, the bottom line is that 9 bars of pressure makes an excellent cup of coffee. So a lot of times the machine will have more pressure at the motor, but by the time the water gets to the brew head, what you want is an ideal of 9. With Instant Pot, I don't know how much it is. So if you're a purist and you want to know that, you may have to write to them to find out because it's not in the manual, it's not specified on the website. So you're kind of taking it on faith. It's good for people who just want a cup of coffee. It's not so great for people who are geeky and want to know the details. So let's go back to this. You see how all these buttons are lit? All of them are lit, but if I pressed one of these, I wouldn't get espresso. I might get water. Let's try it actually. Yeah. See, I'm getting plain water. Okay, so you need to be careful that you're aware of which one you're pressing. Now the advantage of that is if I press this and got the water in here, I could have my Americano right there. It might be a little bit colder than I would want, but I could have that right here. The other advantage of course of doing that is that if you wanted water for tea, you could do it in that way. So here's the espresso. You can make 2 ounces, 4 ounces, and 6 ounces. So of course all of these are not espressos. Some of them are ristrettos, some of them are longos, but we're not going to worry about that. You can make different types of coffee. Now when you lift this, the pod falls right in. It falls into this bin and you would be taking it out from there. Let's try a cup of coffee. This one, if you have a Keurig, you'll know how this works. This is gonna go straight down. You close it. And now, let's just make an 8-ounce cup of coffee, okay? Now the second cup, as you notice, happens almost instantaneously. My suspicion is that it's pulling in the second cup of water when it's on and heating it and leaving it hot until the machine turns itself off, okay? And most of the coffee machines will do that. So from a usability perspective, you make your first cup of coffee, you make your second, it's gonna be fairly fast. Now, if you're making coffee in the morning for the 2 of you, this is gonna matter. If you're making it for a party, it's definitely gonna matter. Yeah. I'm not thrilled about the 163, 164, but I do know it makes better coffee. I just like to burn my tongue every time I drink coffee, apparently. So the purists will have a different perspective, but just know if you're used to drinking it super piping hot, you may have to maneuver around it with some stuff. Here's one thing I don't like about it. See, when I open it, it keeps dripping. My other coffee makers don't. They stop immediately. It's not a lot of a drip, but there is some. So you have to open it and leave your cup sitting in there for a while. These Keurig-like cups have to be taken out and thrown away. No different than if you had a Keurig at home. Okay, so that's not a plus or a minus. It just is what it is. That's how it brews. So here we have our coffee. Here we have our espresso shot, the smallest cups it'll make. So 16-ounce coffee shot is going to make a lot of coffee. I don't know if you could do it with 1 or you want to do it with 2 or whatever the answer is. Okay, so that's one part of cleanliness. See, it's still dripping. This is like a little boy peeing that like just keeps dripping. I don't like that about it at all. However, can you see the water? Okay, see the water, there's still a lot of water left in here and I hadn't even filled it up. So it'll definitely last you a really long time. Now here's the other thing I like about this. See this thing that I showed you? This is actually so that you can put your little cup down here and have it brew. I'm not really sure why. Like, I grew up in India where they pour tea from a distance, and I don't know if you've ever been to Singapore and seen like tea tarik where they pour it from a distance. It's very cool. So I feel like the further away it is, the more foam it makes, but there may be some technical reason I don't understand. Anyway, the important thing with this is that it's very stable. I have to tell you, I have a machine that's 3 times the price of this one, and that thing flips over when you're not expecting it. So what'll happen is I'll go to make a cup of coffee and I'll accidentally touch this thing. I'm gonna spill the coffee, I can just tell. I'll accidentally touch it and this thing will come down and the coffee will brew straight into the bottom. This one, I don't know if it's because it's new, but it's a pretty, you could feel the hinge snap. So I don't think that's gonna happen. In terms of cleaning it, this is easy to clean obviously, but I feel that this is also gonna be quite easy to clean. It comes out. The other thing you want is generous overflow capacity. So whether you like it or not, you are gonna spill coffee. You're gonna spill coffee in here. This will not hold an 8-ounce cup of coffee. So if you spill it, you're a little bit out of luck. It's gonna overflow everywhere, but hopefully you'll be standing there and you'll be able to catch it. This thing is a little bit on the flimsy side, but I'm trying to bend it and I can't. So anyway, this, I wish that it had a little more capacity. However, if they'd done that, it would have taken up more space. It would have made the machine taller. This comes out like this, quite handy. Okay. So we've talked footprint, ease of use. I think that's it works very well. Capacity, great capacity for water, decent capacity for the Nespresso pods that you will be using. When you talk about price for these machines, it is not just the price of the machine. I think this was $100 or something like that, but you know, prices vary. That's not the issue. The issue is price of ownership. So this is the razors and razor blades model. The machine is going to cost you whatever it is. It's the pods that are going to run expensive. Here's where the pods for us have been worthwhile, which I have to tell you, I'm an espresso person. We've had an espresso machine for 8 years. So I was very curious to test this out for that reason. The way we made peace with that was somebody in my family, not me, namely my husband, was drinking a lot of Starbucks. And there was a joke every time I would sell a project or something, he'd go, hey, Starbucks for a month, and I'd go maybe 15 days. So he was spending a lot of money on Starbucks. So in a situation like that, it's really good to be able to have this, because when you compare the price of this pod to the price of Starbucks, the pod is always going to win because of the way Starbucks runs. So if you're drinking coffee out a lot and you're committed to making this at home, it really does save you. The other thing is, if you're making an 8-pot carafe and throwing away half the coffee, or you don't like that burnt smell, or you like to drink just 1 cup later, these machines are excellent. The other advantage of having both of these in one is that, of course, you don't have to have 2 machines. So whatever footprint issue you might have, it's cut in half because you don't have 1 coffee maker and 1 Nespresso maker. The cost of these, the Keurigs are less expensive, and also you have more variety. The pods, so far the only pods that have worked for us are the Nespresso pods, and then Pete's is making pods, which we only got them at Costco. I don't know where else they're available. So consider that, multiply that times the number of cups of coffee you drink, and decide if it's going to be a worthwhile investment. So this is this machine. Most important thing to remember, don't be like Urvashi, don't press that button too hard. Actually, let me see what happens if I do. See, nothing happens when you press hard. And that's kind of what I was doing. That one works. So don't overdo it, okay? Just touch lightly and it'll work. Would I buy this? I think this is an excellent machine for a family that has someone who likes to drink large cups of coffee and espresso at the same time, or someone, for example, who likes to drink coffee in the morning and in the afternoon or the evening, or once in a while likes to make crafted drinks. The reason I say that is the capacity, this extra water, is most useful for the large cups of coffee. If you're just making 2-ounce shots, you may or may not need a 64-ounce capacity bin. So I think it's good for families that like both. It's good for someone who likes, what was I saying?
Good for somebody that likes to have both of the things, or good for somebody that likes to have just one of them.
You are no help. It's really good for someone who likes to drink more coffee. The Nespressos will hold a lot less capacity. I don't know about the Keurigs, honestly. So I like the fact that they're both in together. I like the fact that it does make a good cup of espresso. I like the variability that you have in the sizes. You can go from 8-ounce, 10-ounce, 12-ounce. It does take a little bit of getting used to get the buttons right, and it does take a little bit of attention to make sure that you don't put an espresso capsule and press the 12-ounce button on there. That was mine. No, you can have it. You can have it. Darling, I'm teasing. You can have it. Yeah, that one you can definitely have. That one I have no use for. So that's who I think it's useful for. Majorly someone who likes to drink mainly coffee, someone who wants a large capacity bin, and someone who wants the flexibility of making one or the other. I'm Urdashi. I hope that review of this Instant Pod was helpful. Thank you for watching.